What would the Rosetta Stone say to us today? It would say, I was a tablet before it was popular. All right, maybe I should tell better jokes. I don't know, but we're moving on. The 20s woman, that's our topic for today. Concepts, how do the traditional woman and the 20s woman compare? How does the 20s woman impact society? And then how does the 20s woman represent a success for feminism and their fight for independence? Key vocab, flappers. Many of us have heard of that word before, so let's see if we actually know what they are. What is the 20s woman all about? And I think when a lot of people hear the term flappers, the initial thought is the woman in the jazz club and in speakeasies, dancing, having a good time, etc. But the 20s woman is more than that. Flappers are more than that. They really represent the urban woman and the changes that she is making in lifestyle. So they are concerned with fashion. They have the bob haircut. That's extremely fashionable at the time. Dresses go above the knees instead of down to the ankles like you see in the picture on screen there. Dyed hair. They're smoking. They're dating casually. They're talking about sex openly. Drinking in public. These are things that just weren't really considered before. And then, of course, dancing like you do see in the either old movies or historical footage. That was a part of it as well. However, even with all these changes, marriage between a man and a woman is still considered, the household part is still considered by both a woman's job. Now think back to the last video for a moment when we brought up the Scopes trial and think of that old thinking versus new thinking, traditional versus modern ways of life. This totally fits into that model. In the picture on the right, you see the standard role of women, the traditional role of women prior to the 1920s, and just focus on the clothing for a second, that dress going down to the ankle. This was what the traditional woman looked like, or how she's represented at least. Whereas on the picture, the cartoon picture on the left of your screen, you see these the young, fashionable 1920s urban woman who is breaking that traditional mold and creating their own place in society where it's okay to wear dresses to the knee, to be reading tabloid type newspapers or magazines. This is an example of old thinking being challenged by the new. This is a nice little cartoon that really tries hard to hit on a number of things that the 20s woman is all about and makes that direct comparison to the traditional role of women. So take a look. And while you're looking, try and see everything that focuses on the 20s woman and the traditional way of thinking. Let's switch gears at this point and talk about women in the workforce. With the Industrial Revolution came a number of jobs that opened up to women. However, that was relegated to jobs that women were normally associated with that were done previously in the home. Now there were just job opportunities doing the same thing. They were not going to receive jobs that were traditionally given to men. So that's where we're at prior to the 1920s. Then World War I comes around and a change happens. There's a short period of time from 1917 to 1918 where many men go off to war, fight in World War I. During that time, there are going to be some job opportunities for women to do those same jobs that men performed. But with the men gone, somebody had to do them. And for many of those jobs, they were fulfilled by women. What are the results of women joining the workforce during that World War I period? Well, for the most part, there's not very much change all across the board with women staying in the workforce. Depending on the field, some women stay more often than others, but inevitably, when you look at across the board, it's pretty even as to how many worked after World War One and how many worked before. The most common work is clerical work for women. That's the most consistent field of women working. Even it's important to note that very, very few women are going to rise to any type of managerial position. With that said, this is really where we're going to see women who were working men's jobs while they were gone. Well, that can be perceived as a threat to the man's job. So we're going to see inequality and discrimination happen. It's on a small level, but the reason why it's on a small level is because we're not seeing many women stay in the workforce or be in the workforce. So that's where we leave off. We'll see you next time.